Hello lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm going to be recommending some short books for people. So in honour of the fact that my December TBR is almost exclusively incredibly short books, and for the fact that we're coming to the end of the year and I'm sure a lot of good people's Goodreads challenges are looming overhead, I thought I'd recommend a collection of short books that are all like under 250 pages that you might want to just blitz out towards the end of the year. I do actually have another video like this from years ago that I'll link down below, but these are entirely brand new books that I'll be discussing today. The first book is called Superior and it's sort of a novella slash possibly even short story by Jessica Lack. This I believe is only actually available on Kindle, so just to sort of make people aware, but it is a really cute YA romance. It's a queer romance between two boys who are basically both assistants to superheroes. One is an assistant to a superhero, one is assistant to a supervillain, and the two sort of supers are fighting against each other, and it's about the guys sort of being caught in the middle. It is fantastic. It has some of the best like classic tropey scenes in it, and there's a really interesting conversation about what it means to be a superhero and the idea of collateral damage, and it is just freaking adorable. I've reread this short story I think 4 or 5 times now. I just love it. It's such like a feel-good palette cleansing book. One that I've been recommending pretty much non-stop on my channel since reading it is Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Fanu. This is one of the original sort of vampire classics. This predates Dracula and it's about a family who live in a sort of a fairly isolated big manor house, and some strangers knock on their door, and it is a woman who asks them to look after her like 20-year-old daughter. But then after the daughter ends up staying there, the woman of the house ends up experiencing these really weird dreams. There seems to be connections to sort of feeling very faint, very pale and anemic, and she gets these mysterious marks on her breasts, and it's sort of the connection between this sort of weird thing happening and this young woman Carmilla who's been introduced into their household. It is filled with all sorts of glorious sapphic undertones. It is a classic for a reason, and it's something which is definitely having a bit of a revival in modern day. This gorgeous edition also has a like introduction by Carmen Maria Machado, which was really interesting to read about like its role within sort of vampires mythology as such. And yeah, I cannot stop recommending this book since reading it back in October. Fantastic for this like cold, dark, dreary season. Then we have inadvertently like another queer book. I do promise that there are other books on this list as well, but this is Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh, and this is such a fun, weird fantasy novella about the myth of the Green Man, which is sort of this like tree forest person who naturally like lives in a forest, and then a gentleman who owns a manor house who like goes out and ends up meeting this Green Man, and sort of their kind of subsequent relationship that comes from it. It's actually a duology, and then I do recommend the other one, which I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called like The Drowned Wood or The Drowned Forest or something, which was quite different in style but continued with these characters. Both of them were really fun, and I like devoured this book in one sitting. It was just so gloriously spooky and atmospheric, and I really appreciated their relationship, and it just has so much gorgeous imagery in it. It is a glorious book, and I definitely need to check out more Emily Tesh in the future. Going very on a different topic, we have Chess by Stefan Zweig, I think is how you pronounce that. I think this has a couple of other stories in it as well, and this is basically a long form short story about a gentleman who challenges a guy to a game of chess. I think they're on a cruise. I can't remember exactly where they are, but basically challenges a guy to a game of chess and plays like the guy plays like the most perfect chess game ever, and it is about them asking like, who is he, how is he this good at chess, and like where has he really come from. It's really fun. It's sort of quite quirky. It's an interesting short story. My dad read it first and recommended it to me, and yeah, it's just sort of an entertaining weird read that has a bit of a twist at the end that you don't expect coming, and is sort of a fun conversation about chess as well. The next book is Mating the Huntress by, this is Talia Hibbert, I believe. This is one of my favourite Talia Hibberts, and I'm so heartbroken that she has not continued in this series. It is a paranormal romance novella about a woman who is part of a like vampire and werewolf fighting family who has been told that she cannot join in with this like heritage of theirs because a witch has foretold a prophecy that she will die at the hands of like her first attempt of a kill, and then she bumps into a werewolf who is convinced that she is like his fated mate, and it is about their sort of dancing around each other and her seeing this as an opportunity to prove herself and him just desperately wanting his mate to be happy and to have red velvet cupcakes. It is freaking adorable. It is one that, again, similar to Superior, I've read it I think maybe 4 times. It's just my go-to, like, I just need something cozy and sweet and lovely. It is really cute. The spice is quite fun in it as well, and generally just the whole vibe. I love the 2 main characters. I love their interactions, their banter, and I desperately want Talia Hibbert to do more in this world. Like, please, for the love of God, write more paranormal romance, babe. You are great at it. Again, going into more of the classics realm, we have Jack London's The Call of the Wild. This was one of my favourite books when I was a kid, although it is more of an adult book. I think I listened to it on audiobook a bunch of times, and it's about a dog called Buck who gets kidnapped and basically sold into the wonderful world in sort of the Antarctic, possibly not the Antarctic, maybe like Alaska kind of region, and is made to become a sled dog, and it is about his experiences. I love books told from the point of view of animals, especially in classics. Like, I love Black Beauty and things like that, and this is just no exception. Jack London has a really lovely writing style. It is so sort of cold, and like, you really sort of experience what Buck goes through, and it's very atmospheric and it's very beautifully written. Again, it's sort of very lyrical, and you get some wonderful descriptions, and especially with the winter coming in, the weather turning, this is such a perfect one to kind of see out the end of the year for you. The next book is The Deep by Rivers Solomon. This is another queer story, and this is about a mermaid, but it is in the black mermaid tradition, and the idea of mermaids being the souls of women who died and then were pushed overboard during the slave trade when they were brought over. And the idea is that our main character holds the memories of this trauma for her entire species, and it is about her not being able to deal with this generational trauma and fleeing her responsibilities, and in doing so having a bit of a lesbian romance on her travels. It is a glorious book. It is so beautifully written. It is such an interesting way of interacting with the idea of generational trauma and tapping into different folklore connected around mermaids, and it also just has this really beautiful relationship at the end. I really want to read more from Rivers Solomon. This was incredibly popular, I want to say about 4 years ago on BookTube, and for good reason. Yeah, fantastic read, and again, a little bit different to what else I've got going on this list. Clearly, I just read a lot of queer novellas. I don't really know how this has happened. This is entirely accidental as like a sub-theme of this this list, but I also have James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room, which James Baldwin is another fantastic black author who's a bit more of a classic black author. I think was writing, I want to say in the 50s. That's when this was set, so I'm not confident when James was writing it. James Baldwin also has a collection of like non-fiction that I really want to read as well, connected to like the black experience and racism, but this is the only one of his I've read so far. His writing style is stunning. It is just so beautiful. I think this is, again, recurring theme of novellas I really enjoy, is there has to be a good writing style to keep me engaged, because you don't have as much room to play around with plot and characters. This is about David, who is torn between his sort of true love of kind of being gay and connecting with a guy called Giovanni, and then also him trying to pass and having sort of a fiance who is in another country and trying to keep both relationships going. It's set in Paris in the 1950s, so you get all of that like glorious Parisian art vibe going on as well, and it's a really interesting snapshot into the queer community in Paris in the 1950s. So yeah, absolutely beautiful, and it's a good reminder that I definitely need to check out more James Baldwin in the future. I then have The AI Who Loved Me, who I think is also by Talia Hibbert. It's over here. Apologies if I've got that wrong. This is a lovely little sci-fi romance novella. It's about a woman who falls in love with her neighbour, who it turns out is actually an AI robot, and then there's like a really cool funky twist at the end. It was really fun and was sort of my first foray into like sci-fi cozy romance novellas, because often like sci-fi romance is a little bit more sort of big epic space opera aliens. Quite often it's like women being kidnapped. There's a whole subgenre there. I've read a few in them. I have mixed feelings about how much I enjoy those kind of books, whereas this one was a lot more of like a cozy sci-fi. I love artificial intelligence books. I think AI is so cool and weird, and sort of conversations about what it means to be a person compared to what it means to be a human are really fun. So you get a nice dose of that in there, as well as just some hella cute scenes. And now I'm talking about this one, I might go and read it again fairly soon because it's been a while since I have, and it's a lovely little reminder that I probably enjoy this one just as much as Mating the Huntress, but I tend to default to reading the paranormal rather than the sci-fi, so maybe I should dig it up on my Kindle and give it another read again. And then the final one I wanted to talk about is yet another queer book, and that is Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. This is lesbian cowboys who run a library. Like, how freaking fun is that? It has a very pulpy kind of genre feel, definitely has sort of an old school Western vibe. I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember a crazy amount about the plot because I did read it a good couple of years ago now, and I think I was here mainly just for the vibes, but I remember it being really, really good fun, and I love the idea of just like a traveling library. I think their whole thing is that they focus on like banned books and books that are not really allowed in this society, and there was definitely some fun shoot 'em ups and just some generally entertaining Western-y kind of times. So yeah, really good fun. And Sarah Gailey's got a bunch of other books out that loads of them I've added to my want to reads, so again, little reminder to me that maybe I should check out more of her work. So there you have it, a bunch of short books to try and help you get to your Goodreads reading goal, or whatever way that you track your reading to try and boost your numbers by the end of the year, that are all totally worth the time, because we're not just reading for the sake of arbitrary like numbers and sort of specific books that we want to get done. We're reading because it is fun. So do let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these, and the hilarity of the fact that nearly all of them ended up being queer books. And also I will link in the various places the book like version of this that I did from before that has 10 other fantastic short books that you should totally check out. Have a wonderful reading week, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye.